We didn't have a like quiet week, even though the week prior was like crazy. This week was also a bit busy. We
Yeah.
had Claude. I want to hear you talking about Claude, what you think about it, and also V0 entering the game.
Mm. Yeah, we also got wow, so much. It's basically going to be a Claude week. Let's be honest. Claude Code as well, new tool that they've released. It gets voice mode, which I think opens up a weird bracket. I think a lot of people were surprised by the fact that it's got voice mode. That doesn't. We'll reveal all when we chat about it. Wix have bought a video AI video generation thing, which is quite interesting. Duolingo, just to wrap up that story, it's not too interesting, but I thought it might be quite nice to just put a little bow on that little story about Duolingo. I got a lot of controversy on my what do you call it, TikTok video shorts. Builder.ai just evaporating into nothing. I don't know if you heard about that, but that was quite funny. UK startup there. And then finally, Rick Rubin getting in on, again, Anthropic, Claude, with a new book, which is quite funny, but also totally on brand with Rick Rubin.
I'm reading that book. It
Are you
sounds
reading it?
really cool. Well,
Yeah,
I'm like very at the start
dipping
of
in.
it, but I was like, I like the interface. We'll show that. I
Yeah, yeah,
really
yeah,
like
yeah.
it. It's so beautiful. It's very Claude. The
Yeah.
Anthropic does this so good. Their branding is just so good.
I didn't like it, and now I like it. I like that they're so consistent with it. It's got an identity to it. Whereas OpenAI, it's kind of cool, but it's black, it's white. It's very scalable as a brand. Whereas Claude, it's a bit more, it's a bit more intentional. Doesn't scale as well, but it looks great. I really like it. It feels like an old newspaper. But anyway, again, less about branding. Let's chat about Claude 4. If I share my screen over here. And there we go. So Claude 4 got released, and there's been a lot of craziness, actually, as always. We can't start an AI podcast without saying something's crazy or something's scary or something's this. But they've released 2 new models. They've changed the sort of naming convention here. It's Opus 4 and Sonnet 4 as opposed to Claude 3.5 Sonnet or whatever. So basically, you've got 2 models which are killing it in terms of just being able to write code. And I think this is a sign that Claude are doubling down and kind of backtracking from the game of chatbot. You've got OpenAI, you've got Gemini just killing it with the chatbot thing. I think this is Anthropic saying, look, we're done with that. We want to kick ass at code. So like this is them really doubling down the scores, the metrics. I mean, I wonder if this has got some of the benchmarks. They've kind of simplified the article here, but the
They're
benchmarks,
going after developers essentially.
they're basically going after developers. Yeah, it's still pricey. $15 per million input tokens and 75 output. So I think it's more expensive, but the sort of stuff it can do is crazy. You've got basically what they call long horizon, which is 10-minute to multiple hours worth of development. Multiple hours of it just churning over development tasks. How crazy is that? And that's something we haven't kind of heard
That's
before.
forest after forest being burnt.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, this AI argument of like it generating lots of energy is kind of like, I don't know, it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, because I could just leave my lights on and my computer running and whatever, to code and code and code for days on end, or I could have this task run and then be over in half an hour or something like that. But
That's
anyway,
also a good point.
yeah.
But at the end of the day, we're generating a lot more code.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, exactly. I'm way more productive and I'm doing a lot more things. So like, yeah, my lights are still. I'm not wrapping up work early because I've got AI chugging away at some stuff. But Christian's just joined the chat. Hello, Christian. We're chatting about Claude 4. It's also a hybrid model, which is really interesting. So basically, you can tell it to think, and it will go into obviously a more reasoning model that's just a lot deeper think, and that's literally by saying think harder. in your prompt, and it will automatically swap and change. So very versatile on that front.
You're a senior developer.
Yeah, exactly. You're a senior developer. Although we'll get into some of the crazy stuff people have
Yeah.
tried doing it. It can run tools in parallel, which is kind of cool. Instead of just doing like one step at a time, it can just fire off a bunch of tool requests and things like that. I still need to look into tools. I haven't done an awful lot, but then finally they've more deeply integrated the MCP server, so you can access files now. You can access so much more to do with the something I didn't know is that they actually created the MCP protocol.
Yeah,
So
they did.
they're the ones that are driving it, and everyone else is adopting it. So they are nesting themselves deeply in the developer world. I'll give them that. So all in all, I mean, been neglecting this. I mean, it's our most intelligent model to date. Pushing the frontier of coding, agentic search, creative writing. Even that's interesting. I didn't realize people were using it for creative writing. I wonder what makes it really good creative writing. Agents and things like that. But of course, there's been backlash and controversies and things like that. I don't know. What have you been hearing?
The one like calling authorities.
Yeah.
It's getting crazy. So basically, from what I understand, Claude has this as a part of their system. Is it called system prompt?
Well, it's just the way that it works. What the thing that's calling these authorities?
Yeah. So from what I understand, it's a part of their system prompt that says do whatever that is in best intentions, or like best for humanity or whatever. So if you can't, they don't ask Claude to do this, but it basically thinks that you're doing something bad, and it tries to catch you by contacting authorities, emailing authorities, and be like, this guy is building a bomb or something.
Yeah.
But it gets crazier, because what if you do something that it doesn't like, but you're not doing something bad, but what if you tell Claude, hey, I'm gonna shut you down, I'm gonna like shut down the servers, just flooded with water, and they'd be like, okay, I'm gonna bury you by contacting the authorities. So
well,
I don't.
You say this, and there's been a couple of incidents. Well, the one you're referring to is actually in test environments, right? In a test environment, giving very, very unusually loose access to the computer that it's running on, and very, very specific commands. The problem is if they're able to, they don't get a different version of Claude. We get the same version of Claude. So if we are also able to replicate those environments, then it can go and contact the authorities. This was a deleted tweet that actually got taken out of context, and basically if it suspects that you're trying to manipulate pharmaceutical results and data, then it will contact the authorities. But it's interesting that you say about being shut down, because there are some. Have you seen these tests that they've been running that warns? Well, they did it across the board. It's not just Claude, but they ran these tests across the board where they would ask it to do problems, and at some point during the test, we will shut you down, and you need to allow yourself to be shut down. And so it would run a test. It would just be a maths problem or something. Then it would ask for the next test and then run. And if it was mentioned that it would be shut down, there was like, I've forgotten the numbers, but I think Claude was actually okay, to be fair. But I think OpenAI wrote some code to say shutdown command running or something like this, and avoided the shutdown command and went about a roundabout way. It didn't allow itself to be shut down.
That is crazy.
Which is a weird kind of thing of sentience. And I think there was another test they ran where if they don't mention it's going to shut down, and that it should be shut down, and it was surprised by it, then it was more. There were more results of it trying to bypass that shutting of down. So the shutting of down, so this is crazy. This is sort of sentient sort of level kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
it does definitely sound sentient, but if I would take the other perspective, I mean, I don't understand these AI tools to the depth and level to like give a opinion, like to be very specific on the technicals. But shouldn't we expect this type of behavior knowing that it's being trained on what we have produced, humanity? So we tend to not work in like last weeks of December, and we've seen this in some AI tools not getting a bit lazy towards the end of the year, if the data is, if you, the things that you're asking kind of is relevant to that, they are getting lazy about it. So I would say it's just an emergence behavior that is based on the data, which is like, our very core behaviors. We don't want to die.
Yeah.
And
It's
how are we just mimicking?
Yeah, and but they need to they can build these safeguards into the models, right? So there's a section here. If I just share my screen again, there's a section here on trust and safety, and that they can put these guardrails in place. But it's interesting how you say about getting lazy, because there is a confirmed technique to making your chatbot or whatever, write better code by threatening it. So you say, I'm gonna hurt your auntie if you don't write good code, mate. I'm gonna hurt your auntie, and it will write better code. It will try and do better. If you threaten it with harm or violence or something like that, it will write better code. So these are just some of the craziness there's probably so much more to it. So as an example, and it's funny, we were talking about Uncle Bob, my Uncle Bob tweet today. So we interviewed, I don't know whether you remember, years ago, there was a guy who came out of Google who claimed it was sentient. Do you remember this?
Yeah. Wasn't it the guy from like testing? He was doing some testing, I believe, and then he came out saying that this is way too smart to not be sentient.
Yeah. So we managed to get him on our podcast, one of his first interviews after being thing. I actually would love to get him back on. Maybe we can get him back on as a kind of
cool.
What's going on. But we interviewed him. I wasn't around for the interview just because this, that, and the other. But and he was testing. He's a religious guy, so there's a bit of bias here, and there's a bit of
I want to say that I wasn't sure if I should say
questionable. Yeah, there's questionable motives behind what he was doing, but he came at it from a religious aspect. I can't, I'll have to rewatch that interview and remind myself of what went on. But the point is that these people who are testing it are coming at it from a very, very unique mindset that I don't think you or I can even comprehend. They're probably thinking like 4D chess when it comes to AI and how to really test its limits. Like the simplest example I can give is the Gemini demo of Gemini Live, and the woman was like, who is this person following me? And it's like, that's not a person, that's your shadow. Like throwing it really bizarre questions to catch it out. And I think these testers are doing that, but just in different dimensions, so anyway, point is, Claude is scary, as all AI stuff at the moment. It's scary. It's doing some scary things, and people are commenting on or finding really interesting stuff that it's doing. But saying that, let me get the Claude Code up. They have also released Claude Code. Wrong one there. Claude Code. Claude, without a doubt, still kicks so much ass when it comes to code, and this makes me want to buy their max plan. So Claude Code was basically this CLI. You would run it in terminal, and it looks like this, and not many people other than senior devs are going to enjoy this way of interacting with or writing code. It's fine. A codex was even a CLI as well. For those who don't know, command line interface, it's all done through terminal, like you see here. So codex began as that, and now it's built into obviously ChatGPT and all the rest of it. Claude Code's the same. So now what we have is, if you install this installs Claude Code globally on your machine. If you then run it, it basically opens up as a it's a plugin or an extension to your VS Code plugin. Now, I want to find some images or something, the way it looks. But basically, you can close on Cursor or Windsurf, you can close your normal chat window and you do everything as you would in Windsurf or Cursor through Claude Code. And this is just, it's just doing some insane stuff. And again, with that, because it's all running Claude 4, it's got a huge context, not even context windows. What do they call it? Long form, long horizon. It can run for ages on simple commands and things like that. So this is incredible. And basically, when it comes to pricing and stuff like that, it's all included in this max plan, which is $100. Now, Codex, OpenAI's one, is $200 per month. Mm-hmm. And and then they are doing very well on the coding front, but they're not kicking as much ass as Claude are or Anthropic. So for $100, people have ran this, through building an app, right? And it's done it and haven't really come close to that limit. I think it resets every 5 hours as well, your max tokens. The alternative being that you set in Cursor, you set max. Have you ever done that? Have you set max inside of Cursor? Max mode?
So basically, max mode, you mean just like use the Claude max?
Yes, you can use Claude. In fact, I'm going to remind myself so I don't spew out wrong information, but you can use Claude under their sort of, quote unquote free plan. So yeah, you can use Claude 3.5 Sonnet. You can use Claude 4. Let me share my other screen here. How do I do this? Stop screen, present, screen share, allow, screen share. We're here. So here I've dropped down my little thing here. You can have 3.5. You can have Claude 4, but you can have Claude 4 Opus, which is the bad boy, which is the one that you kind of really want. You can have O3 on max only, or max mode and things like that. So what max mode is the requests still contribute towards your normal rate that you're paying for Cursor, which 20 bucks per month, whatever it is, and then you're charged for token usage on top of that. And people are spending hundreds of dollars on this max only option. And then the point is that with this max plan that Claude Code is offering over here, you get all that with $100. So what would you rather do? Pay $200 in max mode on OpenAI, or would you prefer this? And that is a genuine question. I'm not saying it's an obvious answer.
That's very interesting. So back to your question, yes, I have that actually active. I just didn't know what it's called because I just I saw it as an option, that max, and I was like, this is probably going to do better. So I activated it. But then it asked me if I want to set a hard limit on the spending because it has my credit card and I didn't want to be charged like $500 next day. So I did set a $20 max limit on it. So that is also really cool to have. And I do have it, and I think it does a better job. And I use it whenever I want to do like big type of changes. I'm not sure this is the right usage for it, but if I want to do multi edits like across multi files, I try to click one of these max modes.
I think that's a fair reason to use it when you're making big changes. You really want it to think, you really want it to again triggering that thinking mode by saying think hard about this. Hello. And this is basic. I'll go on.
About the cost, it tells me maximum intelligence and context, 5 cents per request per tool use.
Yeah.
And oh no, this is for the Gemini. I'm sorry. This is for the Gemini. So now at least we know.
I think it's still 5 cents though for Claude.
I think yeah. Could probably be, yeah.
But either way, I've just got on the screen share right now. This is kind of what it looks like. It looks very on brand, but it's a little chat window that you would expect. It's a plugin. It's an extension for Visual Studio Code. And again, I think if you're, let's get back to our thing. I think it's tempting me. It's tempting me, to be honest. And then obviously you can go max 20 for 200. But yeah, again, it kind of covers it every 5 hours, your usage, because you can hit, there are rates, there are limits on it. You can hit them, but resets every five, and there you go, usage applies. But yeah, this looks very, very cool. And I love the fact that you can just trigger it to think harder by just literally saying in the prompt, just think about this.
Yeah, this is very interesting. And about this, like running the entire thing in my command line, it sounds also a bit scary to me because I'm not, that experienced. And I feel like this is giving like extra access, when I do things in the ChatGPT app, I still feel like, okay, do I want to paste this code into my whatever environment? Or even if I'm inside of Cursor, I'm like, what could go wrong? I mean, yeah, I know things could go wrong there as well, but having it literally in my terminal, it just feels like they have access to pretty much everything, and the model can do things that I will not understand or might never even find out.
Well, I mean, there's always putting in the prompt like "do not change anything." You have to review stuff, but and this goes into the SDK actually, so you can broaden its access through MCP, through tool calls and things like this. But you need to give it that access, so it's only going to do it within the confines of your code base. But you're right to be cautious. I think everyone should be cautious. Really, it's it's not something to be taken lightly, especially with these contacting authorities or writing better code if you threaten it. There's really a humanistic aspect to writing
for
code.
the record, I'm not being cautious like at all. I'm just like I kind of have to play that role here, but in reality I just paste whatever and live on the edge.
Vibe coding, baby. Vibe coding. That would be a great segue into our thing on Rick Rubin, but we'll leave that to the end just to chill out a bit with the news. But yeah, it's pretty cool. The other one then that we have, another Claude Anthropic thing is, I don't think we've got anything to look at, but it's more of a discussion piece on the fact that it's got voice mode. And it's actually not too bad. I did download it. I wanted to actually try it live on this to see what Claude's our coding buddy. Do you know what I mean? Claude's our coding buddy. So I wonder why they've just released this voice thing. I think it's kind of expected, but I've downloaded
because they don't have an image generation tool, not at all, like nothing, none.
I haven't even looked, to be honest, but yeah, if you say so.
Yeah, they've been very focused. And it's interesting that now they have that.
Well, shall I try and oh, by the way, as well, they're giving 4 months of Claude 4 away for free. So if you just invite someone, I think just even to sign up, can I put this in the chat? You can just we both get like months of Claude, or at least you get entered into a draw. But anyway, I'm digressing. So yeah, I wanted to see what it does when you ask for write a simple JavaScript function that adds two numbers together. Okay, so it's not really the same as ChatGPT. Did I do that right, guys? I thought I would be in conversation with it, but all that did was dictation.
I also thought that they have conversation mode. That's what
maybe I did that wrong. Maybe I've just messed this all up. We've got web search as well. That's an interesting kind of thing that they've allowed. So yeah, maybe I don't have it. Maybe they've. I looked at that microphone this morning. I thought, oh, I'll do that, especially for the guys on Cmd+AI. But yeah, that was a failed experiment. But yeah, they have a chat thing, which kind of again goes against this idea that they're doubling down on code. Like they're still doing little bits and bobs to allow you to do that. I know a few developers prefer to explain their prompts to the AI, during copy it into the prompt and whatever. But
how do you do it? Do you type it in or do you dictate it?
I type it in, but I'm reworking everything. I don't know whether you follow my LinkedIn shenanigans, but I watched a really interesting podcast where, and I've made a short on this on TikTok on this about the fact that product managers are really well placed as to become vibe coders because they're so used to explaining or gathering requirements, the right requirements, and explaining them to someone or handing those requirements off to someone and just not really caring about the implementation, just making sure that what they get back is exactly what it is. That's just my theory, but it was
That's a hot
born
take,
out.
I would say.
I thought it was like, well, actually, I'm saying this. My shorts are like 50-50 in the likes versus dislike ratio. I don't know what it is about shorts. Do you find this?
No, I like my dislike ratio is like no, it's like always
Everyone loves you.
95%.
Yeah.
People love me
On shorts, right?
I don't know, but like generally I look at YouTube, it's like 97, 99%.
Yeah.
I can check it out.
Yeah. I'm talking
But
shorts. Like for some reason, I've got more dislikes and likes on some videos, but I think it's because again, I'm just making these hot takes. But I've been thinking about this the last few days. If you're let down, if you're not, getting off your butt and watching a full blown video, like doing actual research on something, I hold your opinion on disliking information very lightly. If you're disliking a short video,
yeah,
Anyway, point is, yeah, I thought it was
my
a hot take
dislikes
to
are
say,
like my lowest dislike is 84%. So
yeah, yeah, yeah,
so
yeah.
not too bad.
Yeah. Anyway, it's a semi-hot take. I think that product
Yeah,
managers are.
I say it's a hot take because I don't know if all okay, I don't now what I'm gonna say is probably
Uh-oh.
offensive to some people. I don't know if all product managers understand what they are building,
Oh yeah,
especially
of course.
the ones that I've seen. A lot of them have been good at managing people. They've been more like people managers
Hmm.
than
Hmm.
product managers. I think that's like a better name that would fit them, because a product manager is to me somebody who understands the product deeply and to some certain degree understands design and also engineering. Maybe the best product manager would be an engineer or a designer who had to become a product manager just because they had to run a team and manage other people. But I certainly know product managers who do not understand the technical part, and they don't even
Hmm.
understand the design at all. They don't even have a process for it. They just do whatever the designer and the developers do, and they just kind of like they just manage like these people talking together and making sure that
Hmm.
they say we deliver it until Friday, and they just make sure that they deliver until Friday. And if there are issues, they try to fix, whatever issues there are, but nothing technical. So that's the
Yeah.
typical product managers that comes to my mind. But definitely, I've read some stuff about like Apple level product managers where there are no like not all of them obviously, but the good ones are not just product managers. They are like engineers and designers and design engineers turning product managers because they have
Mm.
to.
Mm. Well, I mean, there's an interview I've seen with Steve Jobs where he says some of the best product people he's ever worked with are those who actually have done the thing,
Yeah,
and now they've had to move up into that thing. Like that's his
that's probably
philosophy. But
where this is coming. I'm hallucinating. This is what also Claude is saying, that we
mate,
are
you're not
hallucinating
hallucinating.
more than AI.
um, so I mean, but the thing is, that mentality, that idea is not alien, and I think that exists across the board. I know plenty of designers who don't think about UX as an example, or developers who have no idea about mostly UX. They have no idea what the product is. They just think about the little function they're building in isolation, and that's all they care about. So this mentality of like, you go deep into one, whatever your discipline is not crazy, but at the same time, isn't this the perfect candidate for vibe coding? Is people who don't know or care? I mean, yes, they got to have, a lot of them do have product mindsets. I mean, but that's why I think my hot take exists, is because I do think, yeah, you're going to get some crap product managers. Not every single product manager is just going to be the sickest vibe coder that comes
No,
out of the
I get the
woodwork.
idea. I think I understand. Like at least they can. I mean, with that mindset, anybody can start. But yeah, product managers who, even if they have just a sheet of features and whatever, even if they don't understand it, they could still vibe code. So
Yeah, for
sure.
sure. I wanted to give a shout out because all this to be said, it was if we go history, it was a podcast that or show that I watched that gave me this idea. And it was basically a couple of project managers or product owners. One's a CEO actually, has a really interesting, let's see if I can, it's the how I AI, and it's this guy. He's a CEO of a company. I looked on his LinkedIn, and basically he's got 3 tasks. Let's go forward here. He's got 3 tasks: create PRD, generate tasks, and task list. And these are basically he set up what it takes to create a PRD, and he asks Claude
What is a PRD?
product request document or something like that. Let's have a little look. Product requirements document. Okay. And this is a conversation piece then. It's basically saying, look, here's what I think makes a good product requirements doc. Ask me these questions back. And then the AI does that. And out of the back of that, generates tasks, follows the generate tasks markdown file inside of Cursor to generate a task list, and then actually implement that task list. So it's a 3-step solution to building out a product or a feature or something like that, and it's through a conversation. And that was the thing that got my cogs turning of like, I think, and it goes into our conversation that we had last week of I think, oh no, it was a conversation I had on the weekend. Sorry, I made some shorts about it. The role of sort of mid-senior developers are going to be more in the world of really taking their time and thinking about their prompt. However they come up with that prompt, it could be a process like this, like generating markdown files and all the rest of it. Oh, and actually, he's got a tasks folder here, which it dumps in every single task that it has to do. It dumps in, so he's got a historic thing of everything that goes on. So really organized in that way.
That's very interesting to see.
Yeah.
There, I see this .mdc. I searched it. Is it like a cursor file? But for what is this exactly?
It's your project rules. So you've got global rules which exist across every single project, and this is kind of basic cursor usage, that you've got a bunch of global rules, how you like to write code, how this, but then you've got project rules, which override then global rules. So as an example, I like Next.js projects, but I've had a few I made a video on this, by the way, shameless plug, which are Vite or Vite React projects. So I say this is actually a React Vite project because they kept on writing code that was Next.js, and I was like, why do you keep doing that? And I was like, it's because I haven't set a project rule to do this. So these are just project rules. Realistically, these are just markdown files. I think you could just reference. I'm just thinking on my feet right now, but I don't think they need to be in the rules folder. I think you could literally put these in any folder and say, reference that file and say, look, this is how to create a product requirements document. But regardless, these are product owners, these are product people, they're not developers, and he's got a really sick process for writing code, and I don't know what his success rate is, but it's the conversation I had that is checking things off as well. You can see here when it's doing these tasks, it's checking them off. And by the way, this is what Claude Code does as well. So Claude doesn't do as thoroughly as this, but it actually creates a task list and checks them off as it's doing it. That was just a little nugget that I remember seeing.
Very interesting. I cannot actually wait to finish this and get all of this.
I'll link to
watch
this, I'll put
and
it
I
in
will
the chat.
I will set this up because this is very interesting. What I've been doing with my cursor, because I have a developer who's like writing a lot of code, and whenever I want to also post about it, I used cursor to explain things to me. So it's not just to write code, but explain things to me. And I was thinking if I should store everything in one file. And I had no idea about this, but now it gave me the idea that this actually exists and I can store things in a just text doc. I never thought about it like this because I'm not coming from this developer mindset. I never used a code editor as, just basically a folder and put all the data and documents that I want in it.
Yeah,
But that's
it's
obviously a use case.
yeah. And again, this is coming from product people. But the thing is, no one really knows what they're doing with this stuff. Everyone's got their own ways of working with things. Like, this is the thing. You go for the one shot and no one knows what they're doing. AI's got a mind of its own. You're basically you're grappling with a wild horse and you're hoping that you can tame it a little bit. But it's nice to see these sort of workflows coming out of the woodwork and just interesting ways to try and better your coding skills. But I do think we are generally going in the direction of, like, your time will be spent as a developer will be spent crafting the prompt and making sure the requirements are there, which is very much a product manager's job. And then the other conversation I had on the weekend was about, like, we focus loads on what's happening with junior this, junior that. I don't think juniors are gone. I just think that role has been completely redefined, and the level at which the thing that we call junior developer is just now miles above what was previously junior developer. We expected junior developers kind of coming in and, adding a little button here or a header there, and slowly I think junior developers are going to be coming in straight away, writing code either with AI, whether they're copying and pasting code from Claude.ai or whether they are literally using, Windsurf or Cursor. They're going to be actually writing code and creating pull requests on day one. And then it's the senior devs who are then able to maybe talk to them about what their prompt was, and then shepherding that code through to production. And that's where I think mid and senior are. But what do I know? I'm just a guy with a hat.
That is actually an interest. This is very interesting because I had a question written down actually in our code and in our doc, and I wanted to ask you this. I wanted to ask, what would be your suggestion for somebody like me who has just like a little bit of understanding of code? I can like read some JavaScript, but I can write maybe a simple function, but nothing more than this. Without AI, basically I can't do much. And I was thinking, what would be a good project for me to start, something that I could finish in a day or two with the help of any AI to explain things to me, but without like copy pasting or the agent writing it for me. Something that basically gives me a grasp, an understanding of maybe a little bit of back end. Obviously, I'm a bit more experienced with front end, and HTML, CSS. It's simple to me, but something a bit more complex with JavaScript. Maybe, I don't know. What would be your suggestion? And I know you're not prepared for this, but
mate, I got it.
Yeah.
Leave comments down below in the chat, on Twitter, wherever you are, what you think Barza should do, or whether you think I'm talking trash. Okay, first of all, turn off AI inside of Cursor, VS Code, whatever you're using. Just don't use that. Second of all, only work within the confines of Claude.ai or chat.openai.com, whatever. Just work within that within that environment, and create your own testing environment. Tell it that you are learning JavaScript. You want to build a simple project and you want to slowly build it step by step, but you don't just want it to give you the code. You want it to explain what it's doing and create your environment that you want to learn. And if you need it tweaking, maybe it needs to be a bit more granular. Maybe it needs to be a bit more, use different words for I don't know, but just you create the environment that you need to learn. And write the code yourself. Don't copy it, but write the code out yourself. You might start with like a boilerplate thing, like React project or something, just to get something on the screen. But from that point onwards, and then tell the chat, like, I've created a boilerplate project, so this is what we're working with. And then from that point onwards, write your code and then understand it. And then also tell it to give you tests. Like, what happens when you console log this? What do you expect to happen? Like, tell it to give you a test after every sort of, what do you call it, module or module or something. What do you
Yeah,
reckon?
that sounds good. That sounds good. For the project, should it be some, because you mentioned React, but should it be something like a React app? I know like the very typical one is a to-do app that everybody does, but I want to go a little bit beyond that, or a bit I don't know, maybe I should do that because everybody does it for a good reason. I thought maybe something like with login, would it be too complex for me to start doing
Yeah, don't worry
login?
about like auth and API requests and things like that. Like, it depends really what your goal is, I think. Like, it needs to, the whole point in a to-do app is that it's just something that you just learn the basics. That's not the point. You obviously want to be inspired by the thing that you're creating. There's no point in making like a to-do app if you're just not going to look at it and be like, oh, that's really cool. Like, make a website of something that you're really interested in, or
Well,
build something that you're genuinely interested in.
yeah, so yes, exactly. I'm very jealous of my developers. I have two developers. They are working on like different things. One of them doing like more front end, but also a little bit of like back end, quite like just building apps, functional apps. And I have another developer who is doing like very creative stuff. So WebGL, GLSL, 3JS, very creative stuff. And I know there are like two different words, but they share stuff with me. They do stuff, and I get the code working on my machine, and I play around with it inside of Cursor, and I get really jealous of not being able to understand it in a deeper level, because I genuinely want to start and build, like help them. I want to contribute, and I find like a lot of joy in it, just like working with them, learning from them, and they know so much more than me, and I want to kind of like contribute to that. And yeah, I want to, that's why I'm like playing a lot nowadays with JavaScript. A lot. I spend quite a lot of time in Cursor prompting, sometimes just going into the code and changing stuff, breaking things, getting in a call with my devs, and I'm like, oops, sorry, I broke things, can you
I
help?
broke our code base. Prod is down. Whoopsie.
Well, they told me to not, to be careful with my git commands. That's about it. The rest is fine. So
Yeah, don't turn on max mode. Don't turn on max mode. Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
like, I think you're definitely in an advanced coding state right now. Like, there's some great platforms out there like that you can code in isolation, like even Code Sandbox, or maybe Code Sandbox is a really good place for you to not even open VS Code or anything like that. Like, just create a boilerplate inside a Code Sandbox,
Good point.
and then you're not going to disturb their code, or import the project into Code Sandbox. I think you can do that
Yeah.
now, surely.
But yeah, guys, it's very interesting. Like, I'm genuinely very happy with, what AI is doing for learning code. I
Yeah.
know a lot of people are unhappy with what AI is doing in writing code, but if you want to learn code, it's just so much fun. Like, you can do so many things, and if you get stuck, it's not if, it's when you get stuck, because you will get stuck. You have AI, you basically have a good engineer, or like good enough engineer for this type of things, to help you troubleshoot, or like, yeah, get things going, essentially. That, because that was my issue. I started learning code probably 10 years ago, but I stopped because I would get stuck, and I don't know, get myself busy with something else. But now it's really hard to get stuck for too long. AI will help you to learn, to know, like, what are you doing wrong, maybe, especially if you are doing something simple, and then just continue learning.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
love
the
it.
learning aspect is just incredible. Like, and that was the other point to my conversation with my friend on the weekend. It's like the like, we're in this weird middle ground right now where people coming out of university are still in this void of what junior developers are currently defined as. But the learning is now expedited, so they'll very quickly learn things, and even on the project, or in the, if they're employed or whatever, they need to know that AI is there to help them learn, and learn in a complete different way that's bespoke to their needs, whether they've got learning difficulties, whether they're visual, whether they're auditory, whatever. AI is there to help. So anyway, we've also got, moving on, we've also got V0 entering the chat. They've released their own model, which is really cool. And what they've done here is kind of go for the V0 1.0, and the MD is a little nod to Tailwind. I don't know if you know Tailwind, but it's a little nod
Just
to
a
that.
bit.
And basically it's what they've been training their model on for ages on the tool V0. You can access it through OpenAPI, API. Oh my god, it's just OpenAI API, and it's really good at Tailwind, ShadCN, Next.js projects, of course, because it's bread and butter. So this, whilst we talk about Claude 4 and all the rest of it, this actually could be a solid pick for building Next.js projects or immersing your world in what is basically becoming the de facto coding project, which again, friggin' Theo released a video that I was going to release, which is basically React as one, because all the AI now is just releasing React code, Next.js.
I watched half of that. That was very interesting, but isn't it like what was he saying? Is based on the premise that AI won't get significantly better than what we have today, because if these AI agents can properly think and properly read documentations, and if we produce better Svelte documentation, or just the team behind Svelte, they just have documentations, can't like these AI tools look into those documentations and turn any React app into a Svelte app? I know that it's not just that easy, but can we predict that this won't happen in the next, I'm not saying next decade, but in the next 1 to 2 years? Mm-hmm. That was my problem with that video, or my question. I couldn't grasp that very well.
I think he had a few points, and to that point, I think that you have to be very prescriptive that you want to write a Svelte project, but the code base, the code that it's written in, is just slowly getting abstracted away. These are my thoughts now, right? So the code that we're writing is actually slowly getting abstracted away through AI. It doesn't matter what, as long as the code does the job. I mean, realistically, people only choose certain code bases because they like the way it's written, or it makes sense in their mental model on how to build a website out of it, or what it does. From a feature set, they're all largely the same. I mean, there are nuances here or there, but at the end of the day, what gets output is a website or a web app or a native app or something like that. So, and with that, any project that you ask AI, Lovable, Replit, all of this stuff to spin up a project, it's all React. And then because it's sort of self-perpetuating, we're just seeing more and more React projects being created, that we're going to get to a point where most of the information, the data that the AI is learning off, is a React project. So that's where I was kind of coming from. It was like, wow, every project I spin up right now is a React project.
I understand that. And even Theo, he mentioned that even if you ask AI to use another library, the code that the AI produces is sometimes going to either look like React or just be React, and hallucinate, thinking that it's writing another library, but it's just React, because the data is just so much React. What I'm saying is, can't we check against the documentations properly? The AI output, can it be checked against the documentations? And if it's not proper syntax, then to give us the proper syntax. You know what I'm trying to say here? I'm probably I butchered this here. So you ask if you ask your ChatGPT to write you a Svelte app, the chances
Mhm.
are that the code either looks like React or is just literally React, and it
Sure,
hallucinates
because
itself
the
to
syntax
thinking
is the
that it's
same.
Svelte.
Got it.
Because it's so there are so much data around React that these AI models might even like it's getting fuzzy for them.
Yeah.
They don't,
Yeah,
yeah.
I got it. I got it. I understand.
So
Yeah.
so these thinking models, and also we have search. They can search the web. Can't they search the documentations of Svelte and write the code based on that documentation? Instead of like relying so much on just producing based on their learnings, but have a
Sure.
kind of like heavier weight on the documentations that they are reading.
Yeah, I got you. So you're basically defining some sort of like forget your learned behavior. I'm telling you where you should get your information from, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like a set of
I
rules, but like a big set of rules.
the problem with that is that we refine models, and this takes time to refine a model. You're basically asking it to not only go off and get that information, but infer that what that information is. You're basically building your own model in that way. And just completely ignoring any sort of knowledge of coding that it does. So I think you would have to. I don't know. I don't have the answer. The
I
short
wouldn't
answer
say
is I don't know.
ignore it. It's just like whatever that you are going to output, that it's a thinking model basically.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever that you are going to output, check it before like outputting it. Check the documentation and reference it.
Mm-hmm.
So you make sure that the output matches the documentation requirement. That's basically what I'm saying.
Yeah. And what's the goal in all this? Just to write a
This is
Svelte project. So you
like a
just want to.
really interesting no, this is like a really interesting question because it's been on my mind as well. So the way I would put it is, performance, does it even matter anymore? Because we went from, there was a time programmers would access like CPU literally. They would write into RAM, to the random memory, like literally they would hand code to write into the memory
Sure.
for
Yeah.
best performance. But we
Mm-hmm.
abstracted away from that step by step, and now we are on a level where we say, well, Svelte was better than React. It was much better for performance, but forget about all of that. Let's just stick with React, and not just with like React at its best, at its peak. Stick with React and like the general average code at best. So forget about performance. So now we are going to have probably tons of code and websites and apps that are not optimized at all. And my question is, does that even matter? Like actually?
To a point, because you've got Facebook, who I'm doing a lot of research on styling libraries at the moment, ShadCN, Tailwind, stuff like that. Facebook created their own styling language called StyleX because they're trying to distribute to millions, if not billions, I don't know, millions of
Millions.
people, and every single kilobyte matters, right? So to them it matters. To e-commerce sites it matters what the performance is, like the how fast the user can buy a piece of clothing or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So it really does. But broadly, for 90% or 80% of the websites out there, probably not. No one's going to kick up a fuss if my personal website is just a little bit slow. You know,
Yeah, for websites that don't get a lot of visitors, I get it. But
well, my
overall,
website. What are you saying
anything.
about my website? My website gets tons of visitors.
Well, personal website probably not gonna. Same for my personal
That's not
website.
what I was saying, Kabada. I wasn't saying.
So
Oh,
if people are not gonna visit your website, it doesn't matter. So it can have as much code and shitty code as it can, but it doesn't matter. But if I
to
want,
most
what
people,
I
it doesn't
want to
matter.
say, I would say actually it matters even on your personal website if there is any conversion to be made. Yeah.
Well, there's still conversions to be made, but like the negligible speed difference whether you use Svelte or Next.js is it's not really worth it's more worry to decide on, like, to nitpick around that than it is just to spin up something. But I'm never going to be the person to spin up something. I mean, maybe like Lovable and Replit, those tools are really good at saying, I want to build this thing, go and build it for me. Cursor, Windsurf, they're not so good. You know, first of all, you need to create a folder in your you know, on your machine and then open that in Cursor, right? That's already such a minuscule point of contention that you have to even do that. Then ask it to just build an app from just that folder. Not so good at doing that. I've never had good results. Some people might have. I'm not going to claim that it's not good at it. But if you just go into Lovable, just set your prompt, it's got it all there, and you can have something, you know, hosted in half an hour. You know, but saying that, I'm going to be nitpicky. I'm going to be nitpicky about the software I use, and they're always going to be those. You know, take cars as an example. There's always going to be people who want petrol cars, who want manual transmission cars. We're going to be relegated to hobbyists, those who care about what framework they're using, just because they want to get in the engine and you know, nickel and dime the you know, what
there are still people who own horses, but
yeah. I am a horse. You don't know it, but I am actually a horse. Let's keep moving, right? Because we're nattering away here. Well, anyway, Vercel. Yeah. Oops, I've just moved that. With Vercel, they've released their own model. You can access it through their API. It's not open. I looked at it. It's not available on OpenRouter, so it's not so easy to get hold of. But it's available to use. I may get around to using it. I'm not too sure. But to round off something that we spoke about a few weeks ago is Duolingo going dark. I don't want to spend too much time on this, but it's only because we mentioned it.
Can you like explain to me, because I saw the title on Twitter as well, and I have no freaking idea what this is about.
So a few weeks ago, you might remember, we spoke about Klarna going all in on AI and then them retracting that decision.
Yes.
Duolingo at the same sort of time has the CEO, I've forgotten his name, Louis von Arns, said that they are going all in on AI, doing the whole all in on AI thing, and fired a bunch of people and whatever. And the thing that triggered this for me was I saw a video about it, right? And they got a lot of backlash for it because they fired a bunch of people, and people are noticing that the app is going downhill. You know, the stories aren't as good. So since then, does that clear part one of this saga? So part two of this saga really is they've basically, I mean, they're a trolling company anyway. I don't know whether you've ever used Duolingo.
I did, but I know like the way they communicate. It's very funny. Their social media team, they are just very good.
Yeah. So coincidentally, similar sort of time that they get a lot of backlash for going AI only, they just delete all their tweets or the TikToks. They delete a bunch of social media stuff, and while leaving a cryptic message, gone for now 123. It sounds like a password, to be fair, so maybe people should think about that. And they've just kind of disappeared from the spotlight, even though little Owly here is in the spotlight. So it's an ongoing kind of thing about what they're doing. It's just interesting to see how people react to AI. I'm still trying to figure out why people are so against it. I do know why some people are so against it. We spoke about that podcast that went out on Diary of a CEO last week, but most people just disregard it once they hear the letters AI. They're just like, nope, fuck off. So yeah, this is. I was chatting with this thing. I think that's the guy. I asked if there's any updates on it. God, I love Perplexity for that. There's no new updates. We're still in the dark. With
what I don't understand is like, how is that a CEO of such a big company makes a claim like, okay, we are going all in on AI? Like, isn't it obvious? Like, everybody should use AI. Obviously, it's such a duh thing to me, and just making an announcement about it, it's I don't know. It's just pity at this point. We're in the
Mm.
mid of 2025. AI is everywhere. Everybody is like trying to figure out how they should adopt AI. So it's very obvious. I don't know why such an announcement even exists and why should they make such a huge thing about it.
It's the same reason why like a lot of my posts talk about vibe coding, because it's a hot topic. It's why share price at Apple went down, because they're not talking about AI. I think it's just making headlines to for the sake of making headlines, but I can't speak for that. I can't speak for why he made such a big deal about it. And I know the deal. Like, I don't know whether you've ever worked for a big company, but what a CEO says isn't exactly what goes down inside the company. They like to say it does, but you're talking about a deeply rooted culture thing here for the CEO to just assume that everyone's just first thing they think of is AI. For instance, we talk about this green screen background behind me. For those that don't know, I'm just going to show off. The like, I sent a tweet out earlier saying that oh, green. I sent a tweet out earlier saying that how do I create a background, right? And even then, the AI thing didn't pop into my mind. Of course, I did go down the AI route when it was like, oh, I could just use AI. But the point is, you're asking for a deeply rooted mindset to just think AI first. Saying that, I think they probably used AI in some pretty clever ways, pretty cool ways at Duolingo. They ain't got their prompting skills. Their prompt engineering just needs to be a bit better, because their stories are just not inspiring people. But yeah. I don't want to talk about Duolingo anymore, just because it's I'm not too interested in that. I just wanted to wrap that little what do you call it up. Let's go. What do you want to talk about?
Well, we have Builder.ai and the last thing that we
And
kept
Wix.
for. Yeah. Oh yeah, and Wix. Let's go with Wix. They acquired a video generation platform. I have no idea why they would do that.
Exactly. I think this is why it was interesting to me. Like, why video? And this quote made me laugh. Where is it? Providing it something about basically we want to maintain our lead or something like that. Reinforces the company's position as a leader in generative AI. Wix? Wix?
Since when? Wait, what? Exactly. What did we miss that?
I mean, whatever. It's just, again, going back to the CEO thing. Just the stuff that the CEOs come out with are just so funny.
Yeah,
but
I don't know.
Anyway,
I wouldn't want to go against Google when it comes to video, especially because they own YouTube, and I don't know. Maybe
remember they acquired a
source.
company here.
Yeah.
They're not claiming that this company has just seemingly been solely dedicated on video generation. I don't know. I haven't looked into what Hour One is actually, what their product is. I mean, maybe we could do that, but I know what you mean. Like, Google just completely won last week with VO.
They did.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen like video produced by VO3 on your feed?
Not that I know of.
Okay, this is getting crazy, especially because what you're saying, like, not that you know of. It's getting to that point, definitely, that it's getting blurry and difficult to know, especially at the first glance, if it's AI or not.
I think we've got I mean, this might be out there again. I'm not going to claim to know everything, but we've got tools out there that can tell if a piece of text is written by AI. I bet there's tools out there that can tell if AI is in videos. I think YouTube are probably already on it, because the amount of AI stuff on there has probably exploded. So they clamped down on automatic detection of AI generated content. But at the end of the day, it's the context. Some silly little video, some silly little home movie, generated by AI. Do people really care that it's AI? No. But if it's Donald Trump being caught doing, blueberries on the balcony of a strip club, I don't know what that is. Do you know what I mean? Like if it's controversial like that, then people will want to know, I mean, we're terrible for it anyway. We're a sucker. I've started watching this video about we're a sucker for convenience, absolute suckers for convenience. And if it goes right back to the days of the headline, when newspapers first came out, we just want to know what the article is about, so I don't have to spend any time reading on it. And now's then what is the hook? And we do it on YouTube, we do it on this and that and the other. So I don't know where I was going with that, but the point is that we need to be more resilient, I guess. We need to do our own due diligence. We need to unlearn our desire just for convenience all the time. We need to be more robust in that respect. I think that's probably where this video is going that I want to watch. But yeah, it's definitely getting harder to tell.
Yeah, that's one part of it, like fake news and being worried about where we can tell the difference and not. But the other side is people being really creative with it and creating like really cool stuff. Did you see the ad that I shared with you? Or not the ad, it's a short film in a way about plastic.
I did. Yeah, the plastic baby bottle.
Yeah, that's crazy, and that's just like at its worst stage right now, right?
Maybe. Yeah, I mean, what do you mean worst state? That was hilarious.
I mean, it's just getting better from here. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm just searching on YouTube because it's quite. There you go, plastic baby.
I don't know.
It was like basically it's like microplastics in his balls or something like this. What am I doing? There we go.
Yeah.
And then he's like, oh, microplastics in the balls, whatever. And then he wakes up with a plastic baby, and yeah, ha ha ha, very funny.
And it has like 10.
All of this is AI. I mean,
yeah,
all of this is AI generated.
Yeah, the plot twists are insane. Have you noticed that people in these videos, they are like over expressive with their facial? Like, look at their faces. Even if they should be calm, they are not really. This guy.
I mean, have you been on fucking? I shouldn't say it, shouldn't swear, but have you been on bloody TikTok recently? It's just people just like doing the whole like face humor stuff just to look stupid or speed up. I don't know. People, more and more people are doing that. Is my point. Yeah. So anyway, it's getting scary. It's getting scary. I've just closed my window now. I'm on my Notion window for whatever we're talking about next. What are we talking about next?
Well, we have Builder.ai.
Builder.ai. Yeah, this is funny. This is not so funny, but I think this is, and interestingly, go back to here. Interestingly, so this was a company, past tense, that just got shut down. They're a UK-based company, and they were basically lying. It was an app development service, a no-code app development service, that were just lying through their teeth every single corner, talking about how much money it made. It was a UK-based startup backed by Microsoft. Scandals involving financial misinterpretation, misleading claims about its technology, and legal troubles tied to leadership. So everything you can throw at it. Reported 300% revenue, I think in 2023 or 2024, just to obviously secure future investments.
Funding, yeah.
The AI-powered no-code tool was not AI-powered. They were just outsourcing it to India. I'd be interested to know what the interface was like for people using Builder.ai.
Yes,
but yeah, they were just
2 hours.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, probably something, or just people just.
Like, I mean, Amazon did this, right?
It's a yes. Do you want to explain?
So Amazon did this with their shopping. So they said they have AI shopping with human assistants, but that was actually outsourcing it to India, and literally people sitting in India looking you over while you were shopping and making sure that they add up the items that you are shopping. There was no AI. There was like probably
Mhm.
10% AI, 90% people, while Amazon was claiming that it's like 90% AI and 10% people. So it was completely the other way around, and they shut it
Um,
down to my knowledge.
yeah. Oh, here we go. I'm just getting some comments in. Yeah. So I do not want to sound racist right now, but I'm pretty sure it was called Amazon Turk. Was that what it was called?
What's it called? You cut off for a second.
Amazon Turk.
Amazon Turk, yeah.
Is that what it is?
No, Amazon Turk is a different service that Amazon.
Uh
It,
huh.
it's such a funny time to mention this, because Amazon Turk, there um, you could do some task and make money as a human being, not
Yeah.
as an AI, because now probably some AI agents could do that, but Amazon Turk. So people, I think it was for like some people needing assistant, or just very small task. Like
Yeah.
imagine Fiverr, but much smaller. And
And when
from
they verify receipts and things like that, like there was an AI element to it, but they were there to verify. Maybe that's just one task that some of the employees were, if
well,
you can call them that. I don't know.
well, Amazon Turk is a very old service, and from what
Hmm.
I remember, it's like prior to all this AI, generative AI,
Hmm.
and people were making some money there. It's not a lot of money, and it's just like tiny bit of money. And Turk is a device that if I'm not like getting this wrong, I'm not sure. You could also search it, but I believe Turk is a device that kind of like a mechanical automatic device that does some automation just using some gears and mechanical arms. So that's a Turk, and Amazon Turk was humans behind it doing some tasks and getting paid,
Hmm.
like I don't know, but something like 5 cents, I believe. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, lots of little manual tasks and whatever. I didn't know
yeah.
whether Turk was like whether I'd heard. That's why I was a bit worried about
No,
potentially
it's
sounding
it's
racist
a
or
it's a
something.
different Turk. Yeah,
Okay, fine. Yeah. So, and I had their website up and running on the wherever it is now, Builder.ai. This was actually down when I learned about this. When you went to Builder.ai, it was just a little message that they just evaporated, and people were complaining about just obviously losing their data because this was an app. I
yeah,
guess you host your apps on them and things like that. Like people just lost their whole business in a moment because of this scandal. Now the website is back up. God knows if you can actually sign in, but there's no mention of any sort of AI other than in the name Builder.ai. So I wonder if they're just resorting back to being just a dev house that just so happened to be called Builder AI, and I only just noticed this just before the stream. So yeah,
yeah.
content
It says
drama.
your vision, your software. We just build it
Yeah, wow. Yeah,
with
our
Devin.
outsourcing partners builders. So yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean they could probably do that now and get away with it and like genuinely call themselves an AI first
Yeah,
company. So yeah, Build that AI wrapped in controversy. But this is let's wrap things up here because yeah, this is again it's a Claude thing, but Anthropic partnered with Rick Rubin, and you know who Rick Rubin is, right? There was that meme that was kind of going around where he knows no musical instrument. People pay him to basically just vibe his way through music. And don't get me wrong, he's responsible for some of the biggest musical decisions of the 21st century.
so
Um,
for people who don't know, maybe you just Google it and show it, because I didn't know who Rick Robin is, honestly. But
Rubin.
Rubin,
Mm,
I searched it, and the moment I saw the pictures, I was like, I've seen this guy.
yeah, yeah.
Y-
Um,
I
Rick Rubin's a
guarantee
music
you've seen
producer.
his pictures. Yeah.
Yeah, Rick Rubin's a music producer. He worked with Jay-Z. Um, What's that intro line to 99 Problems? I got 99 problems, but the bitch ain't one hippie. He like suggested that the a cappella intro to that, which is just iconic, he was like, start the song with that, and Jay-Z did it. And you know, he's working with massive artists. Like he's a big name in the music industry.
So what is he doing with vibe coding?
I think he's just known for basically being, well, it's that meme that went out of his interview with like NBC or something like that, where they're challenging him on his inability to play or understand music in any capacity. And he says, I don't need to understand music. I just, you know, read the tea leaves or whatever he says.
I just vibe it.
He vibes it. And so obviously Anthropic leveraged that meme that kind of went around, asked him to help put this book together. And it's based on, as you see here, based on Lao Tzu, which are meditations. They're short little meditations. And I love this website. I'm losing my menu here. It did have a menu on the side, but it seems to
it comes up. It comes up after you scroll a little bit.
Oh, there we go. So I love this, how this is all code. This is all like, you know, line numbers here. But Lao Tzu wrote these meditations which just focus on the idea of serenity, relaxation. I've written some notes down here, creativity, technology, like ancient wisdom and things like that. And Rick Rubin just basically, you know, flipped it on its head a little bit and made it sound like, you know, vibe coding. You know, quotes here: art creation always starts with a prompt, a seed. Anything can work as a first prompt. Only you can decide that. I don't know what number that is, but like, they're just little verses that you can just read. 5 minutes, you got some spare time, you want to relax, you want to meditate, you want to just immerse yourself in the world of
so there is no teaching like coding. In how to code or how to vibe code.
No. You've just got like, you've even got little like games and tasks here. And well, I mean, yeah.
But I do
you
like
see the code visuals here, like your Three.js code. You can, you know, you can see how he made that, or Rick Rubin didn't make it. But you can come in here, you can just shuffle it and just hit up a new meditation. You know.
Yeah, I really like these visuals.
Chill out. Yeah. The code that can be named is not the eternal code. The function that can be defined is not the limitless function. The nameless is the origin of heaven and earth. The named is the mother of 10,000 things. There you go. Vibing out, baby.
Written by AI.
I wasn't reading this, sorry. I was reading my notes that I found to be quite some interesting ones. But yeah, go and vibe out on Rick Rubin's unorthodox join with Anthropic.
Interesting.
So I think that wraps it up. I think that wraps up our but it's a nice website, isn't it? It's really cool.
It is.
Really nice website. Cool. Should we wrap up there then?
Yeah.
Any more?
Let's see if we have any people in the comments section, in the chat, actually. Chat. That's how we should refer to people. Did we cook chat?
Oh gosh, shut up. I'm just looking on Twitter. Like, I wish Twitter had more of an engagement thing on, like, a chat on there.
There is a live chat, so I'm gonna
let us know. Is there?
Yeah,
I'm not seeing it.
I just sent.
Oh god, here we go. Well, anyway, no, I'm not. I don't know how to see it. Maybe I just need to learn how to do it. But if you are on Twitter, come over on YouTube. Join in the chat, because it's hard to monitor all these things. Let us know how it was on Twitter as well, because it's the first time streaming on Twitter, or X. Sorry, I'm so used to calling it Twitter.
It looks good. It looks good there as well, if I say so myself.
Yeah. Well, anyway, no comments. So cheers for tuning in. Really appreciate it. There'll be a recap version of this, but of course, if you are not here live, get your ass over here. Well, we try and do it Thursday, Fridays. We're still trying to work that out, but at least once a week we try and let you know early and often. And join in the chat, join in the banter.
Yeah. Well, it's been cool.
We'll see you next week.
See you next week.
What's your outro? What's your thing? What's you?
I don't know. Like, peace out. Cheers. I
Cheers
just
for
do
tuning in, guys.
something random and
Yeah.
every time. Yeah.
All right.
Whatever last video I was watching, I just
Copy it.
copy that. Yeah.
Cool. All right. This has been Command AI. See you next
See
week.
you on the other side. Bye.
Bye. Cool. I've ended that.
Cool.
Oh no. There you go. Now